It was a radiant morning in the affluent suburbs. Sunlight streamed through towering glass panes, scattering across gleaming marble floors and gilded picture frames. Inside the lavish kitchen of a sprawling mansion, a scene was about to unfold. One that no fortune could ever soften. Alexander Grant, a wealthy entrepreneur celebrated for his influence and authority, stopped dead in his tracks the moment he stepped inside. On the floor, his little girl, Sophie, barely 7 years old, crouched beside the family dog's bowl. With trembling hands, she shoveled pieces of dry kibble into her mouth, her cheeks streaked with tears. The sight struck Alexander like a blow to the chest. Breathless and shaken, he realized in that instant. Wealth could erect empires, but it had failed to shield the innocence of his own child. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the healing power of compassion, take a moment to like this video. Subscribe to Stories of Kindness, and share this story, so together we can remind the world what truly matters. At first, Alexander's mind rebelled. Surely this was a misunderstanding, some childish prank. But Sophie's broken sobs and the desperation etched in her tiny hands revealed a truth that tore through every denial. He rushed to her side, kneeling down, yet Sophie flinched away, clutching the bowl as if it were her last lifeline. That was when the truth sank in. Something wasn't wrong with Sophie. It was wrong with him. The empire he had built from the ground up had blinded him to the emptiness festering within his own home. Alexander had risen from a modest, working class background, vowing his family would never suffer as he once had. His company now spanned continents. His face appeared in glossy magazines. His mansion was the envy of many. Yet success had come at a cost. Endless meetings, midnight calls, and constant travel had turned him into a stranger in his daughter's life. He had convinced himself it was all for her. That one day she would understand his sacrifices, but here she was, eating dog food out of loneliness and hunger. His heart shattered. As Alexander sat with Sophie, the pieces of truth slowly fit together. Her mother's death had left her without a mother's touch, and instead of stepping into that role, Alexander had buried himself in work. He had surrounded Sophie with nannies, tutors, and gifts. He thought he had given her everything. But marble floors and gold-plated toys could never replace love, attention, and the simple assurance of being cherished. Her cries weren't just from hunger. They were cries of neglect. A child starved not of food, but of affection. That morning became a mirror. For the first time, Alexander saw his life through his daughter's eyes. A vast house that felt hollow, shelves filled with gifts but not warmth, and a father present in body but absent in spirit. Sophie had begun sneaking the dog's food because, in a kitchen filled with abundance, she felt unworthy of asking. She had grown too used to silence, too accustomed to being invisible. The realization shook him. Right then, he canceled his meetings, switched off his phone, and made a vow that would change everything. The empire could wait. Boardrooms could go on without him. But Sophie could not. With his own hands, he wiped away her tears, threw out the dog bowl, and cooked her breakfast. For the very first time. The eggs were clumsy and a little burnt, but Sophie's tearful smile as she ate was brighter than any deal Alexander had ever signed. The days that followed weren't easy. Sophie resisted at first, cautious of promises broken too many times. Years of neglect could not be erased with pancakes and bedtime stories overnight. But Alexander was steadfast. Not with the hard edge of a businessman, but with the humility of a father finally wakened. He walked her to school. He listened to her chatter. He sat with her in the evenings instead of staring at spreadsheets. He even learned to braid her hair, fumbling awkwardly until her laughter filled the room. Slowly, Sophie's guarded heart began to open, trust returning one fragile piece at a time. And Alexander began facing himself. For years he had hidden behind the armor of success, excusing his absence as responsibility. But Sophie didn't need a millionaire. She needed a father who showed up. In time, he began giving away portions of his fortune to orphanages and shelters. Knowing too many children suffered Sophie's pain, without any wealth surrounding them, his words shifted, from profits to people, from expansion to empathy. Seasons turned, and the Grant mansion transformed. The once empty halls rang with laughter. Sophie stood on stools beside him, helping in the kitchen, spilling flour as he feigned exasperation. They planted flowers together in the garden, each bloom marking a new beginning. Alexander discovered that true wealth wasn't measured in bank accounts, but in the moments when Sophie slipped her hand into his, unafraid and unashamed. Secure in the knowledge that he was there. The memory of that morning never left him. He often glanced at the dog's bowl, not with horror anymore, but with gratitude. It had been his wake-up call, the moment pride shattered and truth took its place. Sometimes the most painful images are what remind us of life's deepest truths. By Sophie's 10th birthday, she was no longer withdrawn. She was vibrant, confident, and full of joy. A joy no fortune could ever purchase. And Alexander, once defined by his millions, was now defined by his humanity. He had built success, lost himself, and found redemption in the tear-streaked face of his daughter eating from a dog's bowl. The truth had broken him. But in breaking him, it rebuilt him into someone stronger, gentler, and real. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to Stories of Kindness, and share it so more people can be reminded of the power of love, redemption, and family. And before you go, we'd love to hear from you. What does true wealth mean to you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. In the end, Alexander's story teaches a timeless truth: money may build houses, but only love can make them homes. And sometimes, it takes heartbreak to reveal the greatest treasure we already hold: the people we love.